Welcome to Pokemon Masters Council. I am your host, GymLeaderJustin. We are coming at you with a very special How to Use guide today. This is the first How to Use guide since the home update. And I am joined by my brother-in-arms, Zero. Say what's up.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Dude, today, not only is this an important, we're doing home Pokemon, but this is a top 10 favorite. Rillaboom is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. He's a grass gorilla drummer. Ding, 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 ding. You hit the trifecta. This boy is in my pocket for all time. He is up there with Sceptile and Infernape and Arcanine and some of my favorites for forever. So I cannot wait to get into this guide.
Absolutely, dude. This is a Pokemon I really enjoy as well. But before we get into that, just want to thank all of the new subscribers lately. Thank you for supporting us. If you're not subscribed already, we highly encourage you to subscribe. We do how to use guides like this. We do battle videos. We've got a bi-weekly podcast on Spotify and on YouTube. And sometimes we play a little bit of Pokemon cards. If you're into any of that stuff, if any of that sounds like it's up your alley, we highly, highly suggest you subscribe. We would love to have you as part of the Masters Council.
Thank you so much to all of our new subscribers. We appreciate all of the support. As usual, we will be coming at you with these How To You guys for the rest of the month of June and beyond once Regulation D starts, because these guys are going to be relevant for a while. These are big, heavy hitters. The important factor about this is that this guy's one of the heaviest hitters we've ever seen in competitive throughout all of 8th Gen. He came in as the grass starter, Mr. Rillaboom, and he made a huge competitive splash throughout the entirety, basically, of 8th Gen competitive.
Yeah, there's tons and tons of really good reasons for that. He has lost some of those tools
definitely
that made him so dominant, but I do think there is a place for him in both singles and VGC. So
I guess that's where we got to start, bro. We're going to rip that Band-Aid. Yeah. The boy got nerfed. We talked about it on the channel before. F's in the chat. Smash a thumbs up if you love Rillaboom and miss Grassy Glide. That's right. We've talked about it before. Most of you would know that most of the, Isle of Armor?
Yes.
The Isle of Armor tutor moves are gone, unfortunately, for most pokes. So, Grassy Glide no longer here for Rillaboom. It's very important.
No longer having access to a priority stab grass terrain boosted grass move. Big deal for this Pokemon. He's got a big massive attack stat because he's got those big swole arms. And he did lose a few other coverage options, but he still has a lot of really, really good tools that we'll kind of talk about in our slides.
Well said. So we're going to start off real quick here. What do you think about this guy aesthetically? He's big, green, grass, gorilla. Everybody knows he's the top 10 for me. I already said it at the top of the show. You know I love this boy. He is one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. But Zero, what do you think of this gorilla?
Love it. This one, I had a really hard time not picking Rillaboom because, I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
This is literally
you guys watch our podcast. There's a drum set behind us every week, or every other week.
So this guy's literally like a monkey with hair metal style hair, and he plays drums.
He's got old school James Hetfield from 1989.
Yeah, I mean, the Cinderace just kind of called to me. And I went with Cinderace, but this was so hard. It was 51% of me wanted Cinderace and 49% of me wanted Rillaboom. Amazing Pokemon.
Let's go. Let's go. Big thumbs up for everybody at the PMC. So the Boomer, he has Overgrow like every grass starter. Zero.
Yeah, so Overgrow, it's almost like a pinch barrier, but it's an ability. When you fall below a third of your HP, powers up your grass moves. Unfortunately, on this Pokemon, it's extremely irrelevant because when we talk about the other ability, it's always going to boost his grass moves.
That's right. We have Grassy Surge. It's back, baby. Up until now, we've only had our Arboliva, and she's still great. Go check out our guide where she has Seed Sower ability. This is the OG, though. The king is back.
When this Pokemon enters the field, it starts grassy terrain for 5 turns. If you're using the terrain extender, it becomes 8 turns. So basically, this Pokemon always gets a boost to its grass type moves because it's touching grassy terrain and you're getting stab on top of that. So huge ability for Rillaboom.
Let's get into those
Yes.
stats, Zero, because that healing is actually really important built in by standing on that grassy terrain. 100 base HP. We're already rocking. We're off to the races. 125 physical attack. The boy slaps. 90 defense. 60 special attack. Don't care. 70 spec D. So respectable, especially when you're rocking 100 base HP. He's pretty thick now. And then 85 for speed is actually quite respectable. For reference, that is the same speed as something like Heracross.
Yeah, so usable speed, especially with the Choice Scarf. Special defense, one of the weaker things, but I mean, we've always got that Assault Vest.
And him being pure grass type, it's incredible. It's one of my favorite things about Rillaboom competitively is the fact that they didn't add on another typing, because grass types are so good at being a tank. They're so good at being a defensive Pokemon on your team, whether that's a full wall, a pivot, or something of the like, right, bro?
Yeah. They do have a lot of like weaknesses that you see pretty often. Of like you see offensive like ice moves and stuff all the time, but you can sponge water hits and electric hits, and those are very common offensive types, especially with things like Regieleki coming back. Having a grass type is going to be super, super useful to resist those Volt Switches and those Thunderbolts.
Well said. I want to add on the big one for me, especially with Rillaboom, because of grassy terrain. The last thing we need to say about this ability is, because grass types are resistant to ground, which is really important, to be able to have that pivot, especially like in a Fire, Water, Grass core, you take the ground type moves for the fire type poke, right? But then this guy on grassy terrain, Zero.
So the very nice thing about grassy terrain is it weakens the power of Earthquake, Bulldoze, and Magnitude. So it's kind of nice protection for Pokemon on your team in VGC that might be weak to that.
Yes, Bulldoze, really good, especially in VGC for proccing partners' weakness policy or lowering opponent's speed. Earthquake, we see a lot of times, especially all these Terra Ground Garchomps that we've seen historically so far, not to mention Moons, etc., etc. There's a lot of big Terra Ground Earthquakers, Tusk. We can go on forever, right? So being able to have a nice check for those, not only a bulky grass type, but a bulky grass type with another built in, it cuts Earthquake's damage in half, Zero.
Yeah. So super nice utility along with, its natural bulk.
You'll just start shrugging hits. So this set right here in particular, very good at shrugging hits as well as dishing them out. That's why we call it the Bruiser set. So this set, bro, this is my personal #1 favorite Rillaboom set of all time. This is Avocadomon, this is the boy, this is the top 10G. So I'm gonna walk us through this right here because he is just he's my best monkey. He's my best grass monkey. I gotta be careful. I love all the monkey Pokemon. I'm looking at you, Infernape. You're my favorite monkey. But Rillaboom, we got that Bruiser type, Zero. Are you ready for this boy to return? So we got an Adamant monkey. We're not leaving home without max attack Adamant on this boy in this set. He does so much damage. Max HP, max attack. You know what's going on. And we're slapping Assault Vest. We're not waiting until the end of this video. Out the gate, that's what this boy runs. You can also run Leftovers. I think Citrus is a great idea. I also like Covert Cloak, could be really cool too, especially in like a VGC format.
Absolutely, because this is a Pokemon that is going to be bringing on a lot of fake out pressure itself. So people are going to try to fake out your Rillaboom to stop your Rillaboom from faking out someone else. So
100%, especially once the DLC comes out and Incineroar. So in terms of this video's longevity, eventually Incineroar will be in this game. Spoiler alert. When that happens, if you're watching this and Incineroar is in the game, just like we saw in 8th Gen, Incineroar, Rillaboom, the fake out gods always want to fake out each other, and those speed tiers matter because if a Rillaboom has some speed investment, he will outspeed that Incineroar naturally. So there's times where that matters. It's really interesting. So let's get into it. We have Drum Beating, Drain Punch, then you can go either Knockoff or Stomping Tantrum. That's a bit of a nerf, Zero.
It is, because last game we had High Horsepower, which has a higher damage output. Stomping Tantrum, only 75 base power, but it is nice coverage.
Yeah, we went from 95 accuracy, 95 power, to 75 power and 100 accuracy on the Stomping Tantrum. So it is a 20 damage nerf, but we never miss now. Well, naturally. But it's still good coverage. The fact that you have ground coverage is nice.
Yeah,
the fact
absolutely.
that we're weak to poison, and poison's strong in the meta because of fairies. So, but Knockoff is great too. Now, this moveset used to be, instead of drum beating, once in a while maybe you saw wood hammer, but basically you saw Grassy Glide, right, bro?
Yeah.
Just did 1 billion damage, and it was prevalent throughout all of 8th gen. It even checked things in a restricted format like your boy Kyogre. So, very big loss, but I want to talk about drum beating, Zero, because I don't think it's a bad move. Drum beating is still 80 base power, so we're not losing a single lick of that damage. But what we are losing is the speed. That's the important part, is because we used to have +1 priority, so we could be super bulky and get around that. In this set, we're going to be taking the hit and then dishing it back. But what does drum beating give us on top of, just raw damage? It does have another effect.
Yeah, it lowers the speed of opposing Pokemon every single time they are hit by it. So you can kind of play some speed control games with drum beating while also dishing out big damage, like you were just saying.
So for Terras, I personally like Terra Fire. I know you're a big fan of Water.
Yeah, Water always is just a really nice, just kind of neutral, because nobody's ever going to throw grass or an electric move at you as a Rillaboom. So
yeah,
Water,
unless they're in
once
desperation
again,
mode, right?
Yeah. Water, once again, coming through as a really nice, I'm not sure what to put on here. Just go Terra Water.
We've seen this before. We featured this on the channel. This is Avocado Mon in the flesh. People that are new to the channel, introduce this guy, meet him, love him. He's here to stay. He is a top 10 staple of the PMC. But Zero, are you ready to meet the new Boomer?
Yes, I am.
Please. Oh boy, let's do it.
Give it to me.
Grassy Glide's gone, bro. So I asked myself, I says, self, what are we gonna do with this top 10? We can't just let him fade away. There's 3 items on this for a reason, because there's a couple different ways you can run it. But this is the offensive Rillaboom, the new Boomer. So I personally go max adamant and I go choice band.
I'm with it.
And I go wood hammer and I drop bombs. And I go Terra Grass inside of grassy terrain, double dip, coin that phrase on the channel, because 1 dip is not enough. So
literally cannot do more damage. I mean, you can. But as far
not
as
with this guy.
As far as clicking 1 button, this is your max damage.
But honorable mention, when we take away our sarcastic tone for a sec, I think Choice Scarf Rillaboom Zero, especially for you, I think might be your new hotness.
Yeah, especially when it comes down to the meta as
he
well.
Gets
because
U-turn.
like
he's base, because we've run base 85 with Heracross.
Yes.
He's got 125 attack and 85 speed. It's the same stats. We know how good that can be as a Scarf Pokemon, but this one has U-turn.
Yeah, because with a band, you're still slower than things like Chi-Yu and Chen Pao. You definitely might want to U-turn out on those, or maybe click Drain Punch instead. Force them into like Sucker Punch or whatever, what have you. Maybe they think they've got that edge on you, and then you just Drain Punch them for huge damage. Definitely just one thing to consider when you're choosing between a choice band or a choice scarf.
Always. And honorable mention should also be your nature, sir. Adamant or Jolly. So you could run Jolly with a choice band. You can run Jolly with a scarf. You can run Adamant with a choice band, Adamant with a scarf. It's sort of up to you what you think your team might need. And that's why in my game I have 4 Rillabooms, and 2 of them are this, and one of them's Adamant and one of them's Jolly. So
yeah.
So yeah, other than that, the moveset really hasn't changed that much. Life Orb I think is a great shout because we are in grassy terrain, so we could sort of heal back every turn. We'll really supplement that damage as well, just like the choice band might. I think this set for VGC goes really well paired with some Tailwind.
Yeah,
the fast one that's supposed to benefit from speed. So, because again, 85 speed, if you're even adamant with a +2, you're going to be outspeeding a lot of the relevant metagame, even with their boosts intact.
Yeah, and I think some redirection could definitely help as well, because then it kind of keeps your Boomer safe. You don't have to necessarily invest in speed, and he can kind of do his thing.
100%. But the last set we have here, Zero, is something you and I both didn't plan on doing, but then we both had, and we were like, oh, well, I guess this is going in the guide because we both have this almost exact same set.
Yeah, so this is what you come to the PMC for. We've got Leech Seed Rillaboom. This is something that was definitely a little more relevant very early on in Gen 8 before the Isle of Armor came out, and then Grassy Glide just kind of took over the universe.
Yeah, pre-DLC, this was actually sort of a thing.
Yeah. So still running that Grassy Surge. We're running a Careful Nature, which is a beneficial special defense and lowered special attack. And the reason we're doing that is because with this EV spread of 252 HP, 108 defense, and 148 special defense, gives us a pretty even stat spread on both sides of defense and special defense. So
you're going for like max HP and then like neutral, like balanced defense.
Yeah, and then like naturally you can always adjust this to however you want. You're like, oh, I really need a special wall on my team. Well, then just go fully specially defensive, and then vice versa.
Or like mine in my game is actually a little bit more physical.
Right. So it's just really just flavored, just season to taste.
Totally.
This right here is the overall. This is the well-rounded defense.
Yeah.
Then we're going with leftovers here. So this will be really nice. So you got leftovers.
Honorable mention to, like we said before, Citrus Berry. This one is also the best way where you'd want to run Big Root. Also, this could potentially be the set where you might want to run Terrain Extender.
Absolutely. Because of that, you only get 5 turns of terrain. Get that Terrain Extender. It gives you a couple more chances to click Protect.
Just like those teams that'll run those rocks that increase the weather to 8, we can do that with terrain too. So if that's the kind of thing your team is into, definitely look into Terrain Extender. What about your Terra types here, Zero?
So going Terra Poison, the thought here is pretty similar to Flow Chain, where you can't be poisoned yourself. Have the Grassy Terrain, which weakens the power of moves like Earthquake. So one of your 2 weaknesses now has reduced damage because of your Grassy Terrain, and then you're just weak to Psychic, which is not really a equivalent offensive type anymore because of the presence of the 4 Treasures of Ruin. So you don't really see Psychic coverage anymore.
Which is weird, because there was a point where we were like, hey, Psychic's starting to creep up, Secret good, and then these 4 Darks came in and just slaughtered those stats.
Yeah. So the moveset, we're going Leech Seed, naturally, because this is the seeding set. We got Drain Punch / Substitute. I think if you go Terrain Extender, you definitely could run Substitute, but if you run out of your terrain earlier than you think, Drain Punch is a really nice supplemental option because you got that 125 special attack naturally. You do a decent amount of chunk and get some healing with this. Protect, I think you always take Protect, right?
Yeah, for me, I always take Protect on this one because even if you don't get something seeded, you're still healing every turn from the lefties, potentially, if that's your item, but also the grassy terrain. So, and again, in VGC, you can seed both your opponents as long as they're applicable. So you can get basically lefties, terrain, leech seed, quadruple healing from 1 turn of Protect.
Then last move we've got is Drum Beating. Drum Beating is actually important on this set because after 1 or 2 of these, you start getting ahead of your opponent. So then you can start hitting them with Drain Punches before they hit you. So then rather than like kind of trading, you're getting a little bit ahead of them in the race. So
and the Leech Seed's going to be sapping them too, so they're kind of dying to that pseudo poison. And your Terra Poison by means then stops you from being poisoned. It's a really nice set. I haven't done a Terra for mine yet, but I might copy you and go Terra Poison. You heard it here first, folks. That's how we do it at the PMC. Sometimes he comes up with an idea, and I'm like, hey, I like that. I'm running that now. Sometimes I come up with an idea, and he goes, hey, I like that. I'm running that now. That's what we do. So if you come to this channel, that's what we want you to do. Take these sets and run them yourselves and let us know. So there's no Pikalytics right now because we are doing this pre-Regulation D. We will be doing updates, of course. This is a top 10 PMC favorite of all time, always will be. This is the Drummer Grass Gorilla. You know the boys never leave in my top 10 as long as I live. So if you guys appreciate this guide about Rillaboom or some of the other Galarian starters, hint, hint, wink, wink, and Zero,
maybe, just maybe, we'll do some Hisuian Pokemon for you guys too.
Oh boy, the debut of everybody from the past in Hisui. Oh, I'm so excited. But for now, Zero, we're going to get out of here. This has been the best kind of home update gift, was going through and getting all of my old, because we nickname all our pokes, so going through and Jake and Avocadamon and Timo, but seeing my Rillabooms back and seeing them in 3D, I can't wait to get them unranked and start smashing some folks for you guys on a video very, very soon. But until then, I've been GymLeaderJustin.
And I'm Zero.
Council is adjourned. Bye.